everybody, Tom from PC Gamer here with a first look at Might and Magic Showdown, a new game from Ubisoft that just launched in early access today. It's a 1v1 PvP game where you collect these little miniatures and then you paint the miniatures and do battle against other people online with them. The painting part of this game is definitely the coolest thing about it. They built this really, really nice, detailed painting tool, essentially, where you can get really into however you want to paint these things. They have a bunch of different colors that you unlock just by progressing through the game and completing achievements. You can paint each individual part as if you were using a brush. You can paint sections of a model at a time to make it easier if you don't want to get that detailed. You can change the brush size, the opacity. You can fill in just the cracks and crevices for little details or just the highlights. Now, it gets a little bit blurred as you zoom in a little bit more and get really in those nitty-gritty details, but you're not going to see that stuff very often in the actual game. One of the cooler pieces, though, they're releasing the painting kind of program with 5 minifigs to paint for free on Steam as well. So you don't have to buy the game to play around with the painting, and then if you do want to buy the game after that, you can import what you already painted into your actual account for the full game. The game is launching with 20 figurines, and they could add more through early access if that's something people are interested in. And one thing I was really happy to see is that there's actually not going to be any microtransactions, I was told, so you can't just buy these characters, and completing the campaign, like the single player of the game, I was told will unlock about 75-ish% of them anyway. So they're not meant to be this thing that is like a MOBA where you're collecting them in that sense. But the problem is the game itself is really dull. And I mean, like, the matches are just, they're not bad, but they're just not fun. You choose one hero, and then you either in the 3v3 mode take 2 creatures, or in the 4v4, which is the primary mode for PvP and ranked, you take 3 other creatures. But you can only control your hero within a match. So the way that your creatures move is you have to go into this AI kind of programmer and give them behaviors based on, like, okay, if you're programming a healer, you say, heal the lowest target with this sequence of moves. If your healer is lower than 30% health, have them back up and then heal themselves and then go back to this other sequence. And it's actually kind of cool. Like, there is strategy and skill to making those creatures adaptable and adjusting to what your opponents have brought into battle as well. But when you actually get into the game, you're basically doing nothing. Like, you select a target for your hero. You can't actually move them. You just select a target for your hero, and then you manage these 6 abilities that you choose your loadout before a match, and you just basically switch between 6 abilities and you stare at cooldown indicators. So you say, okay, I'm going to use my heavy attack, and then I'll wait 6 seconds, so I'm going to use this other attack in that time. And the game itself, like, it's just not compelling. Like, it's not engaging at all. You're just looking at cooldown bars and, like, waiting for stuff to die. If you could control all of the characters on your team, it would actually be kind of a pretty neat little arena fighter, because you wouldn't be worrying about movement, you'd just be worrying about kind of managing cooldowns for a bunch of different people against a bunch of different opponents. And the problem also is that if one of the heroes dies in a PvP fight, it's just instantly not fun anymore. Because either your opponent is just gonna lose and just sits there staring, or your hero has died and you're just watching your little computer dudes just, like, hopelessly fight the enemy. The real crime of the game, though, is that they built this cool, detailed painting editor, and then they put it into a game that just really doesn't take advantage of it in any way. On the battlefield, the camera is really zoomed out. You don't really see much detail. You can move the camera, but you don't really have any need to move the camera because the positioning doesn't matter. And honestly, you could black out the entire center of the screen and just play the game based on the health bars and the target indicators at the top, and then your cooldowns at the bottom. And the game would essentially not change if you just weren't looking at the figures that you spent time painting at all, which just seems insane to me. But we'll have to see how Might and Magic Showdown evolves over early access. I was told that they're going to be paying close attention to the community and kind of what they want. We're definitely going to start seeing some very, very cool detailed paintings from people, you know, using Wacom tablets and stuff like that to really get the details in. We'll also probably see some pretty silly things. I put like a smiley face right on the helmet of my guy. Obviously, there's going to be some inappropriate stuff popping up, but they've already got a reporting tool in there. And I do like that that painting thing is free. I just wish that the game that it was made for was at all interesting to me. Unfortunately, it's just not very engaging. Thanks for watching, and be sure to go to PCGamer.com to learn more about Might and Magic Showdown.